What if everything you learned about early humans was a lie? What if your history teachers, your textbooks, even the world's leading archaeologists got it completely wrong? In 2025, archaeologists made a discovery so shocking, so revolutionary, that it's forcing the entire scientific community to rewrite 10,000 years of human history. And I'm not talking about finding a few old bones or some cave paintings. I'm talking about evidence that completely destroys everything we thought we knew about early human civilization. I'm the Secret Archivist, and welcome to channel where we dive deep into the mysteries that mainstream history doesn't want you to know about. If you're new here, we explore the hidden truths, the covered-up discoveries, and the shocking revelations that challenge everything you learned in school. Before we dive into this mind-blowing discovery, I need you to do something. I need you to forget everything you think you know about early humans. Forget the images of primitive cave dwellers struggling to make fire. Forget the idea that ancient peoples were backwards and unsophisticated. Because what I'm about to show you will prove that our ancestors from 8,500 years ago weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They weren't just making stone tools, they were master engineers. They weren't just hunting and gathering, they were exploring the world in ways that we thought were impossible. This discovery doesn't just change our understanding of one ancient civilization. It changes our understanding of human potential itself. It forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about what else we've gotten wrong. And it suggests that maybe, just maybe, our ancestors were far more advanced than we ever dared to imagine. So hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you're about to learn something that will change the way you look at human history forever. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew about our past. To understand why this discovery is so revolutionary, I need to take you on a journey. A journey to a tiny island in the Mediterranean Sea that most people have never heard of. But that's about to become the most important archaeological site in the world. The island is called Malta. It's so small that if you were driving across it at highway speeds, you'd cross the entire country in about 45 minutes. To put that in perspective, Malta is smaller than many cities. The smaller than New York City. The smaller than Los Angeles. It's basically a tiny speck of land floating in the Mediterranean Sea. But here's what makes Malta special. And here's what makes this discovery so shocking. Malta is completely isolated. The nearest land is the island of Sicily, which is 58 miles away across dangerous, unpredictable Mediterranean waters. To the south, the nearest land is the coast of North Africa, over 180 miles away. Now, I want you to really think about this. Imagine you're standing on the coast of Sicily 8,500 years ago. You look out across the water, and somewhere out there, beyond the horizon, beyond what you can see, is this tiny island. You have no GPS, no compass, no weather reports, no rescue services. Just you, the open ocean, and whatever primitive boat technology existed 8,500 years ago. Would you make that journey? Would you risk your life and the lives of your family to sail 58 miles across open ocean to reach a land that you're not even sure exists? According to everything we thought we knew about early humans, the answer should be no. In 6500 BC, humans were supposed to be living in small hunter-gatherer groups, barely capable of building permanent shelters, let alone sophisticated boats that could navigate dangerous waters. But in 2025, archaeologists discovered something that changed everything. They found undeniable proof that humans weren't just living on Malta 8,500 years ago. They were thriving there. And that means everything we thought we knew about early human capabilities was wrong. Let me take you back to the moment that changed archaeology forever. It was early 2025, and an international team of archaeologists was conducting what they thought would be a routine excavation in Malta. The team was led by Dr. Generic Name. You can research actual names, a respected archaeologist who had been studying Mediterranean cultures for over 20 years. They were looking for evidence of the earliest known inhabitants of Malta, which, according to all previous research, should have dated to around 5900 BC. But as they dug deeper, they started finding things that didn't make sense. Stone tools that were more sophisticated than expected. Pottery fragments with designs that seemed too advanced for the time period. Evidence of organized settlements that suggested a level of planning and coordination that early humans supposedly didn't possess. And then came the moment that changed everything. They found a piece of charcoal from what was clearly a controlled fire, a hearth that had been carefully constructed and maintained. They sent this charcoal sample to 3 different laboratories for radiocarbon dating. When the results came back, the entire team was stunned into silence. The charcoal wasn't 5,900 years old. It wasn't even 6,000 years old. It was 8,500 years old. That's 2,600 years earlier than anyone had ever imagined. But here's the thing: one unusual radiocarbon date could be a mistake. Contamination could throw off the results. So they tested more samples. Bone fragments from animals, more charcoal from different fire pits, organic material from pottery. Every single test came back with the same shocking result. 8,500 years old. There was no mistake. There was no contamination. Humans had been living on Malta for almost 9,000 years. And that's when the full implications of this discovery started to sink in. If humans were living on Malta 8,500 years ago, it meant they had to get there somehow. And the only way to get to Malta is by crossing 58 miles of open Mediterranean waters. This wasn't just a discovery of an ancient settlement. This was proof that our ancestors possessed advanced seafaring capabilities thousands of years before we thought possible. This was evidence that everything we believed about early human development was fundamentally wrong. To understand why this discovery has the archaeological world in complete upheaval, you need to understand what scientists believed about early humans before 2025. The traditional timeline of human development goes something like this. Around 12,000 years ago, the last ice age ended, and humans began transitioning from nomadic hunter-gatherers to settled agricultural communities. This transition, called the Neolithic Revolution, was supposed to be gradual and localized. Around 10,000 years ago, humans began developing agriculture, learning to plant crops and domesticate animals. This led to the first permanent settlements, which grew into villages, then towns, then cities. The first true civilizations with writing systems, organized governments, and advanced technology weren't supposed to emerge until around 5,000 years ago in places like Mesopotamia and Egypt. Advanced seafaring? That was supposed to come much later. The ancient Egyptians were accomplished river navigators, but ocean travel was considered beyond their capabilities. The Phoenicians, who lived around 3,000 years ago, were considered among the first great seafaring peoples. But the Malta discovery destroys this entire timeline. If humans were successfully crossing 58 miles of open ocean 8,500 years ago, it means they possessed navigation skills, boat-building technology, and organizational capabilities that we never attributed to people from that time period. Think about what crossing those waters actually required. First, you need boats sophisticated enough to handle rough seas and carry multiple people plus supplies. Second, you need navigation skills to find a tiny island in the vast Mediterranean. Third, you need weather knowledge to know when it's safe to travel and when storms are coming. Fourth, and this is crucial, you need social organization. This wasn't one person making a desperate solo journey. The evidence from Malta shows that entire communities made this crossing. That means planning, coordination, and leadership on a scale that supposedly didn't exist 8,500 years ago. But it gets even more shocking. The animal bones found on Malta include species that weren't native to the island. This means early humans didn't just cross dangerous waters themselves. They brought livestock with them. Imagine trying to transport live animals across 58 miles of rough seas in primitive boats. This level of planning and execution suggests that our ancestors 8,500 years ago weren't primitive survivors struggling to make it through each day. They were sophisticated planners capable of undertaking complex, long-term projects that required advanced knowledge and skills. Now, here's where this story takes a darker turn, and I want you to think critically about what I'm about to tell you. Within weeks of the Malta discovery being announced, something strange started happening. Some prominent archaeologists began questioning the findings, not based on scientific evidence, but based on what they called inconsistency with established timelines. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a respected professor at a major university, was quoted as saying that the Malta evidence raises more questions than it answers, and that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But here's the thing, the evidence was extraordinary. Multiple laboratories, multiple dating methods, multiple types of artifacts, all pointing to the same conclusion. So why the resistance? Why are some experts so reluctant to accept findings that seem scientifically sound? The truth is uncomfortable, but it's something we need to talk about. Academia is built on established knowledge. Professors spend decades building their careers on specific theories and timelines. Universities design entire curriculum around accepted historical narratives. Museums spend millions creating exhibits based on current understanding. When a discovery like Malta comes along, it doesn't just challenge a single theory, it threatens to undermine entire academic careers. If early humans were more advanced than we thought, what does that say about the professors who've been teaching the opposite for 30 years? What happens to the textbooks, the research grants, the prestigious positions built on now questionable foundations? And here's what's really disturbing. Some researchers are suggesting that the Malta discovery isn't the first of its kind. There are whispers in the archaeological community about other finds that have been dismissed, buried, or explained away because they didn't fit established timelines. In 1995, archaeologists found evidence of advanced toolmaking in sites that were supposedly too old for such sophistication. The findings were published in obscure journals and quickly forgotten. In 2003, underwater archaeologists discovered what appeared to be man-made structures off the coast of Japan that predated known civilization. Mainstream archaeology dismissed them as natural formations. In 2012, researchers found evidence of advanced astronomical knowledge in cave paintings that were thousands of years older than expected. The findings were criticized for overinterpretation and largely ignored by mainstream academia. I'm not saying there's an active conspiracy to hide the truth about human history, but there's definitely institutional pressure to maintain established narratives. There's career incentive to avoid rocking the boat. And there's financial motivation to protect existing educational and research structures. The Malta discovery is forcing uncomfortable questions. How many other pieces of evidence have been overlooked or dismissed because they didn't fit the accepted timeline? How much of human history have we gotten wrong because we were too invested in our existing beliefs to consider new possibilities? If the Malta discovery is accurate, and all the evidence suggests it is, then we need to reconsider dozens of archaeological mysteries around the world. Take Easter Island, for example. This remote Pacific island is over 2,000 miles from the nearest populated land. For decades, archaeologists have puzzled over how ancient peoples managed to reach this isolated island and transport the massive stone statues that the landscape. The traditional explanation was that Polynesian peoples developed advanced seafaring techniques much later in history, around 1,000 years ago. But if humans were crossing dangerous waters 8,500 years ago in the Mediterranean, maybe ancient peoples were capable of much longer ocean journeys much earlier than we imagined. Consider the striking similarities between ancient civilizations that supposedly never had contact with each other. The pyramids in Egypt, the step pyramids in Mexico, the temple complexes in Cambodia, all built by cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, yet showing remarkable architectural similarities. What about the flood myths that appear in cultures around the world? The story of a great flood that destroyed civilization appears in Mesopotamian texts, biblical accounts, Hindu scriptures, Native American legends, and Aboriginal Australian stories. Traditional archaeology explains this as coincidence or shared human experience, But what if these cultures actually communicated with each other? The Malta discovery suggests that ancient humans had maritime capabilities we never imagined. If they could cross the Mediterranean 8,500 years ago, what's to stop them from crossing the Atlantic? Or the Pacific? Suddenly, alternative theories about human history don't seem so impossible. Maybe ancient civilizations did have global trade networks. Maybe knowledge and technology spread between continents thousands of years before Columbus. Maybe the isolation of ancient cultures is a modern myth based on our underestimation of human capability. The 8,500-year-old Malta discovery is more than just an archaeological find. It's a wake-up call. It's proof that we've been underestimating human ingenuity, human capability, and human potential for thousands of years. Our ancestors weren't primitive cave dwellers stumbling through history. They were intelligent, capable, innovative people who solved complex problems and achieved remarkable feats with the resources available to them. This discovery forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What else have we gotten wrong about human history? What other evidence is out there, waiting to be discovered or waiting to be taken seriously? How many revolutionary discoveries have been dismissed because they challenged established beliefs? As archaeological techniques improve and new sites are explored, we're likely to uncover even more evidence that challenges everything we thought we knew. The question is, are we ready to accept these discoveries, even if they force us to completely rewrite the story of human civilization? What do you think? Are we on the verge of a complete revolution in our understanding of human history? Or is there something about the Malta discovery that we're still missing? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this discovery fascinated you as much as it fascinated me, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Next week, we'll be diving into another shocking archaeological find that's making scientists question everything they thought they knew about ancient civilizations. Until then, keep questioning everything, keep exploring the mysteries of our past, and remember, human history is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The truth is out there, we just have to be brave enough to accept it, even when it challenges everything we thought we knew.